Well, hello guys, welcome back. I have Italian ancestry, right? Well, my ancestors came from south of Italy, below Rome, not far enough down to be Sicilian. So, does somebody want to explain to me why I get gods that like to kill rabbits? Before you get excited. Um, you know the rabbit light I keep telling you guys about. I had an angel plugged in for a couple days, remember? Bulb's fine, light's fine, everything's fine. Took the same exact setup, took it out of the angel, because Hermes says, can you plug the bunny in? And I plugged the bunny in. Bye bye, bunny. You like the bunny? I killed the bunny. What are you gonna do about it? And I'm like, what's the matter with you? Are you mental? The poor little bunny. And he's like really not saying any of this, but I'm getting the idea of, here's your bunny. And I'm like, what did I do, even? And I lit a candle, and the candle was going crazy, like, look what I could do to your home. Be a shame if something happened with the candle. And I'm like, I know Hermes is random, but what is going on? I even went to Lokean, and I'm like, are you having a really bad day? And he's like, nah, for once I ain't breaking anything. And I said, could you tell me what's going on? And he says, you might want to think next month of, scraping some cash together, laying off the games, and maybe getting another statue. And I'm like, this is getting expensive, but who? And he's like, he doesn't want one, but his brothers want him to have one because, the three brothers run together. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, I'm really confused because I thought I worked with Apollo, then I thought it was all Hermes, and I thought it was Apollo. It turns out that they kind of play fast and loose with the truth so they can get what they want. Well, Apollo does have his sun disk up, and he's happy with that. And he has a sun disk over here, but he does not have a statue because, as far as I knew, I was getting to the point where I thought I'd never work with Apollo, and I felt stupid for keeping the suns around. But I was like, I'd talk to him. I'd be like, hey, Lord Apollo. And what happened is we also did a thing where we got rid of all the scarecrows. Remember I couldn't let go of those scarecrows? We were getting rid of the scarecrows. And when I'm first doing it, Hermes is super gentle. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. And as soon as I started, because I wasn't okay, because I lie. That's how I get through life. I lie. Look, he's back. Look, I felt this determination. And it was like, I have a message to deliver. And if you don't get out of my way, I'll make a door through you, is what I felt. And I'm like, why does everybody think he's happy? He's psychotic. So that worked. And it wasn't like actually psychotic. It was just very determined, very frightening. Like he would come through like everything. Like, we were playing the thing about the planets, the classical piece, in the Aries, that fits him better than anything else when he's in that energy. And so the brothers have been making sure that their brother, because they get fuzzy on age when one of them's not getting anything, suddenly that's the baby brother. So it's like, why are you ignoring my baby brother? You're making him sad. This is so unfortunate. And I was like, you're not even Italian. Okay, Greeks have things in Italy. I know they did because they had Greek temples in Italy. And come on, they're basically the same gods. I've messed up plenty of times and called Hermes Mercury, and it's not like second Hermes that magically appeared and was like, I'm just like him. My name's just different. Yeah, that's never happened. I mean, if it's your experience or two different gods, then, that's a valid experience. But for me, it's like, the Greek pantheon owns me. Kind of like having the mob own you. And it's just been, it's out of love. Again, guys, it's out of love. It's this fierce protectiveness of, one, Hermes is protective of his family. It's kind of like having Joe Pesci for God. You know that speech about they come at me with this, I come at them with that, and it ends up with him raving like a lunatic, because basically he is. I don't think he ever acts. I think it's just how he is. And he's been attacking all the rabbits. Hermes has been attacking all the rabbits. And I don't think it's Dionysus, because he would tip his hand. It's first the poster went of Bonnie. Then Bonnie's mask fell down. Bonnie has had some unfortunate accidents, as have some of the scarecrows. And he wanted the house clean, and not that it was dirty, but there was like a lot of stuff packed. You know how I decorate. He wanted it to his brother's standards, and his brother wasn't comfortable because his brother is not, just wasn't quite comfortable. So he wanted it up to his brother's standards. So we cleaned all the counters and we redecorated everything. Not that you can see right now, but everything's like mostly redecorated. And his little brother, even though I know it's his older brother, is happy and in, and he's just like, give me a death glare, like he's what I say he is. But Hermes was really good to work with. We got the flowers, and I had flowers in there, a beautiful arrangement for the dead. And then I'm thinking of it, it's really more for Bastet and Anubis, because I really don't work with my ancestors, because you know how my family was. I love my mom, but that's it. And he's like, the dead aren't going to need these flowers. Not that he suddenly developed a really bad Italian accent, but that's kind of the idea you got. And we took all the flowers that they had, that I brought in flowers to give them, and all the flowers of the dead. And the dead got a couple pieces back, which actually looks beautiful and fits their thing, and it uncovered the Pan statue, so I do have a bust of Pan. And, it's just, it looks beautiful, because he snarked at me that, yeah, he actually does like to be at FTD. What am I gonna do about it? And I'm looking at him like, dude, Greek gods get like this all the time? Is this a thing now? And I came across some articles. Everybody knows this country is going absolutely insane and down the tubes. And it feels like being a child, and I don't want to frighten anybody, but being a child of Beliano, I'm like, this feels like a military exercise. It feels like our gods are getting into position, not for some kind of war, but for defense of their people, of the people that will work with them. And that doesn't mean that we have to go around in terror, but it does mean you keep your head kind of on a swivel and you act smart. If you have to keep your head down, keep your head down. Do what you have to survive. Our gods don't like martyrs, as Loki has told me. He's like, you know what? If they would suddenly go crazy and this religious task force that they're working on would become a reality and there'd only be one religion, he's like, lie your ass off. Tell them it was entertainment. Lie your ass off. Become the most Christian-y Christian possible. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to come to that. There are too many people in this country that, you know, just will not let that fly, but it was something that came up in a lot of the articles as I was doing research on Lord Apollo today, because I was like, Hermes is acting real agitated, and the brothers wanted him in. Dionysus and Hermes want him in, and it's like, they're permanent now. I'm starting to get the feeling Inari was never really here, because my gods are good at lying. But I don't know. Inari might show up later. Inari never really talked, or if they talked, it was like they were acting, and they always wore a mask, like a kitsune mask. They would take it off, but I got the sense, like, as they were taking off, there were like a couple beats going, and they were like transforming what they look like underneath. That was just the strongest feeling I got. If I ever met one of the 5 kami that make up Inari, probably wouldn't even recognize me, but... And it's been interesting, because, for me, the biggest stumbling block to working with Apollo as well is not Loki, because Loki's like, he's staying. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you like to walk, don't you? And I'm like, jeez, what's the matter with all of you lately? And I'm like, okay. And the biggest stumbling block, I'm sorry, my mind just vaped, is that Lord Apollo usually, I always get this idea of, not that he's not with me during the day, but often an idea of him like almost, and it's just to let me know he's coming, having to put away the chariot and then showing up. I don't need 50 comments about how he's not really a sun god. Shut up. And so I've often dealt with him at night. And the only way I do know it's Apollo is that Artemis will show up and be like, are you making my baby brother sad? No. Good. They're really, really not like the Norse gods for me. A lot of people will go, oh, they're all the same gods. No, they're not. They're, in my experience, I love them, but they're kind of tougher. They can be sweet and gentle, but they can also have really high expectations. Where with the Norse pantheon, they kind of pretty much lay back, and Loki's mainly with me. I do work with some of the others, but they're more laid back and sweet. So I'm now to the point where hurts to the point where I know what gods I'm gonna work with. But yeah, Hermes has been killing all the rabbits because I couldn't figure out why he's destroying all these rabbits. He's like, it's something you love. I just looked at him and I'm like, dear Lord in heaven. Yes, Loki's Becker. Which one? But yeah, and Dionysus had made sure that I found the thing about the Bacchanals. You know, the story where the people wouldn't worship him and they would not accept his godhood. So he drove all the women crazy. And because they refused to, you know, come worship him. And, you know, his worship is kind and gentle. It's not the nightmare, let me try that again, nightmare fuel that they went through in that story. But that was a thing. He was like, God has to prove he's merciful, but he also has to prove he's tough too. So in the end, I'm going to call her the queen. I guess that's what her position would have been like. She ends up being the first one to attack her son, and they all rip the son to pieces, and they think they killed a lion. And she's marching around in triumph with the head, and Dionysus just like, and it was kind of like, you know, our gods have that side to them. Not that they're literally going to make you see a loved one as a lion and rip them apart, but I've always liked this story because even though I know very well it was a punishment, it's also like Dionysus is, you know, he can give women that strength to protect them. So it wasn't so much like I'm threatening you. It was just, remember who I am, remember who the gods are. So it was really interesting. And I will never ever compare the two pantheons again because they went all their way today. They were like, oh, we're the enlightened ones, are we? We have nothing to do with nature. This is going to be so enjoyable. And yeah, Dionysus was the only one that was in a good mood. I think Hermes was not in a good mood. But we're adjusting to each other. You know how it is. If you work with the Norse pantheon, you know how some unenlightened people that work with the Norse pantheon as well view the Greek pantheon. I'm not going to repeat the insults, though one of the insults was in the story about Dionysus. And I'm like, that's the biggest mistake you can ever make, to underestimate any group of gods. So, yeah, it's been an interesting day. The Norse gods don't care. They know what I mean. I'm comfortable with them. They feel like hearth and home. I don't feel overwhelmed like I'm going to be expected to know Greek, which I can't read or pronounce, and it just feels completely foreign to my nature. But the Greek gods are like, we don't care, we're here. So that to me is why they feel more like their philosophy, because they're attached to philosophers as well. And the Norse gods are more, as long as I work with them, they've never been like, you have to learn this, you have to learn that. If I had an interest, that would be one thing, but they're like, they don't care. So If you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. It's been very interesting. I'm never going to bring up the bunny again because I'm like, you hate that bunny, don't you? You love that bunny, don't you? Be really sad if it disappeared. Because he remade his Snickers bar disappear. He straight up, like, I was traditionally what we do is I give them an offering and it, it sits there until I either dispose of it or eat it myself. And the Snickers bar was going to be a delightful treat. I go over, there's no Snickers bar, so Hermes actually makes stuff disappear. Loki does not do that with me most often. Very rarely does he ever. Hermes makes stuff disappear. And that rabbit met with some unfortunate accidents. And the funny thing is, since the rabbit poster fell down over here, what it uncovered is a wine jug and grapes. So he definitely was sending his message. And I'm like, I'm definitely going to try to work more with Apollo because I get the idea that it's a fake rabbit today. And the weird thing is, a couple years ago, I found a dead rabbit on my porch, and I thought the foxes left it. And I'm like, these guys really play rough. I mean rough. I thought Lasanta played rough, but they play rougher, in my experience. Some people get them and they're like the most gentle, sweetest gods, and they love people and they would never harm you. I get them and you get the impression that they carry a baseball bat a lot and people disappear. And do you want to go for a ride? Because I've been like kind of watching like a lot of stuff about like the mafia. And after this started, because I felt the energy and I'm like, yeah, that's them exactly. Okay, so I've entertained you, hopefully. If you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are Hellenistic or something, it's not done out of disrespect. I found that when the gods show up and they want you to work with them, you don't really have any choice in the matter. I know a lot of people will say you stand up to the gods and do what you want. It's a good way to get your legs broken is what that is. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.